G'day guys, this video is not going to be what it should, but I'm going to make it right now while I can. So you've got these three contenders, okay? The Koleos, which would probably be the cheapest of the lot, the Tiguan, and that X-Trail. They're all about 5 or 6 years old, or 7 years old, right? Without doubt, the Volkswagen's the pick, as in a used vehicle. With the Tiguan, I mean, there's people that would know more about common faults than I would, besides the manifold and certain transmissions and the general Volkswagen sort of stuff. This car is far better than that. That is a strong do not buy. And if you're going to go for the X-Trail, it's got to be relatively low miles and well serviced, as in they blow diffs, they blow heads, the shock absorbers, they get oil leaks, yeah, but mainly the head gaskets were an issue earlier on and later on as well. Like, I'm not going to just exclude this model because they, you know, I don't care. The heads were an issue on the QR25 2.5 litre. Very heavy on brakes, lots of brake shuddering and stuff, and general, you know, the body sort of wear and tear on the body, on the windows, stuff like that. With that, now with the Koleos is the car from hell, even though it's actually shares together. Now that's why this Nissan is not the best car anymore, right? Because Renault had their hand in it. And it is not a bad car, okay, but it is a European car. I'm pretty sure these are Sachs. Lots of stuff made overseas on the car. Yeah, we've had quite a lot of trouble with the X-Trail, but the X-Trail is a sort of car where it's fairly trouble-free for that first 6 years. But do not buy, and be very careful. But regarding the Koleos, I mean, these cars are fucked. There's no other. Okay, there's no other way of putting it. I can see the X-Trail right here. Okay, it's right here in front of me. Okay, what engine this is, I'm not exactly sure. It's that X-Trail behind me, but maybe it's a 2 litre, 2.5. So same engine, right? See, the alternators, Vallejo, you know, we've had the alternators go on the X-Trails. So, but as in power windows, electronic faults, it never ends. I mean, this car, what do you want to buy it for? I mean, this certainly must be the cheapest of the lot. I've had no end of trouble with these Koleoses. I wish I made videos about them all. You know, but under here is an X-Trail and under there's a Koleos, and I don't know what's under which one, but they're no good, especially the Renault card and all that. So big no. And why I made this video is the people who buy these cars, usually, this is a commercial sort of use, but they're sort of young families. They don't have all the money in the world. They might be getting reeled into finance, and you really don't want to be buying that car. You rather borrow more and get the X-Trail or the Tiguan. The X-Trail, it's the one that appeals the most, as in it's a Nissan, it should have low running costs, but believe me, if you buy the wrong X-Trail and the diff blows up when you're turning, I've had 3 people I know that the diffs have gone on these cars. I don't know what the issue is with them. I very much doubt it's the mechanics not changing the diff oil and stuff like that. These cars are basically, the loads aren't right. They're not balanced cars. You know, there's way too much going on one side compared to the other. But when you see, I mean, the rear of this car, it's got the alloy upper arm and like it's got Sachs shocks and it looks like the proper sort of thing. But that's all fair and good. Get the X-Trail if it's an approved Nissan vehicle, or that you you can see and had the inspection done that it's got 2 keys, like any car, logbooks, proper coolant, proper engine oil, all that sort of thing. But, you know, when the X-Trail has corrosion in the cooling system, is a big no-no because the heads go. So a lot of these cars are off the road. Some of them are a bit newer. They get bashed around a bit, and that's all right. You rather get the scratches than, you know, like I know this car above me now has been impeccably serviced by Nissan, which have done barely anything, but nevertheless, it's been to Nissan, and when things need doing, they do it, and when things don't need doing, they do it. So, you know, people incur thousands in repairs and maintenance through the dealers, but it's more mechanics like us that are like, oh, the shock's only just sweating, just leave it for 6 months, and then they end up selling it. So, you know, mechanics like us work together to protect the customer from the savagery of the cars, but the dealers don't. So in many instances, the dealer service might not be great, but in many instances, it's really what you want. I know with Nissan in Australia, they don't, in Sydney, they haven't got many mechanics and stuff at hand, and that, you know, I've seen some pretty bad stuff. But with Toyota, the job gets done. So yeah, Tiguan versus Koleos versus X-Trail. The X-Trail would take a #1 place if it wasn't for the blowing diffs and head gasket issues, but the Tiguan overall might not last as long, but in that, after that 5 years, I believe that that is a safer bet than that if you've got your eyes closed. Maybe I shouldn't say that. You will incur here a lot of running costs with brakes and stuff, but you know, it's the premium vehicle. Don't forget, this car's not made in Germany, but it is the premium vehicle out of all of them. It's got the best feel. It's a little bit smaller, I think, narrower than the X-Trail. Inside, the X-Trail can be very, very roomy. But yeah, it just would be the first positive video I've made about Volkswagen, as in comparison, you're better off. But I thought I'd get that video in before the customers picked some of the vehicles up and stuff like that. It's a tough one, I tell you. It's a tough call. It really is. This could be the car that we all want it to be, but very often they're not. Beware of the X-Trail. There's a lot going on under here, okay? It's got stuff that you wouldn't expect it to have in it, and yeah, be very, very careful of these cars. So shock absorbers, engine mounts, bad coolant, oil leaks, electronic faults, window faults, leaking sunroofs, yeah, stuff like that. But you can get them fully loaded, and they've got a lot in them, front rear sensors, stuff like that. But yeah, you know, what can I say? All 3 of those cars are sort of budget. They're going to be in a certain budget and become appealing. All 3 of these cars have their risks. But with Volkswagen, the thing is, usually all the fuck-ups happen in that first 4 years or before. You know, with those cars, they seem to get everything done in that first 4 or 5 years. The buyer is then traumatized. They'll never buy a Volkswagen again. But in saying that, it might not be a bad second-hand car. As I've said, the Tiguans are proving to be better than most of the others I get, as in the Volkswagen Audi cars. So anyway, hope that helps. And beware when buying a car. I wish I could make more informative and better produced videos, because I certainly know what I'm saying when it comes to buying cars. It's a freaking nightmare. It really is something that, you know, from a bent sway bar link to mud that's gone in output shaft seals, and, you know, they start leaking, contamination via oil leaks on steering rack boots, worn out rubbers, crash damage, you know, misinstalled brake lines. That's just there. So there's a lot going on when you buy a car. Always look through the front for a tow bar that's hit this, you know, and bent it, and everything still seems to work. But, you know, there's a lot going on, and you've got to sort of get online, print out the sort of top-down check. Don't get impressed by the body and the leather and the air conditioning and that there's not one scratch on the car. You know, there could be very well hiding underneath something else, and it begins to be given away very, very quickly when you begin to look at the details on the car. So had this car been cleaned up, you know, you'd very quickly begin to see where things were put together badly for a repairable write-off or something like that. In Australia, you've got to check, obviously, if the car's got any encumbrances or pay extra to see if it's a repairable write-off, because that's the big one that's going around now. But yeah, you know, it never really ends. I'll be honest, for me to buy a used car, it's just as tough, because I know how easy it is to get misled, and also to look at the things I've mentioned and still be misled by a vehicle that could have been repaired in a very, very high standard. You know, the low standard repairs are always easy to spot. But, you know, when cars are in impacts, when a car gets rear-ended and, you know, stuff gets bent, you know, things get shocked, the car might be in park and coppered up the back, and, you know, the whole front of the car looks brand new, yet the transmission, we've had that where months later, a piece in the gearbox or the diff will just break from that actual sheer stress that it incurred earlier on in the crash. So very, very difficult choice. Now, in these cars, you'd put a CRV in here and it would be sort of better than the lot, but you know, as long as it's after 2006, 2008, the CRV would be the outright winner here, as in for quality out of all these three cars. But with the CRV, you've got to watch again with neglected engine oils and stuff. You do get the 2.4 with the timing chain getting some serious issues, transmission faults, navigation, Bluetooth faults, stuff like that. Yeah, it'd be great to have them all lined up and do a full in-depth thing, but maybe one day. But there's three of those cars there. Hope that helps, and beware and never rush. There's a million other X-Trails, Koleoses and Tiguans, maybe 2 million Tiguans. Hope that helps. Bye.